right? So the unstructured data is the difficult part. So there's an IBM study a couple of years ago which says that 80% of the data that we have is actually unstructured. And unstructured typically refers to text. So anything that I put as a Facebook content or a comment or an email to you becomes unstructured data, and that's really hard for you to keep as a historical data record. So structured data is easy, we all love it. So that's Facebook likes, anything like that, and that's easy to manage. But today what people are expecting is that I told you on Twitter that I really like the color red, you should remember that. Or I told you that delivery at this time doesn't work for me somewhere else, I expect you to remember that. So that's actually why, a lot of people on Facebook or Twitter are very noisy, because they're expecting all their unstructured data to actually be managed. So, how can social data help? So, this is one of my favorite slides, and I'm sorry if you've seen it before, but really, if you look at the four P's today, it's changed quite a bit because of the amount of real time data and social data that we have, which can modify each of these. So we have, the four P's: where to sell, when to sell, individualize, present a subset, all of the above. And then ideally, the customer is expecting you to make a predictive offer. So that's what they're expecting, and that's what, as marketers, we would like to deliver. And the omni-channel customer, ideally wants you to be able to manage his data across the digital, out of home, in home, sensory, everything, in some way. So again, the whole marketing engine is about capturing data across multiple channels and using that. Sorry about that. So with that, I come to my last slide, and I want to introduce Sanjay Tripathi. Most of you would have heard him speak earlier. He's a VP for marketing, e-commerce, digital platforms at HDFC Life. And so over to you now, Sanjay. I'll just bring up your deck.
Hi everyone. I hope you can listen. Jesse, the voice is clear?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. Uh, thanks Jesse. Thanks for the introduction. Uh, so like you started saying how we take a buying decision, looking at industry trend, social trend, and my personal preferences. If you look at today, the things are really changed. I'll just take from where you left in terms of customer is looking for a predictive offer. So customer is looking for more personalization. He's looking for more convenience. He's looking for more relevance. Looking at how the e-commerce business has really moved, it clearly says that this has really become a key driver which was not there before, and the relevance and more personalized offer people are really looking at it. So taking that in the background, when we look at an insurance as a space, can you move to this slide 2? So when we look at insurance as a space, if you look at it's pretty similar to what happens in most of the industry. Uh, people come to our website, then then they do some sorry, like any other campaign, people generally do a search in the internet, then they'll see relevant content, they come to the website. So when they're in the website, they may not like something, then they'll move out. So that's a typical journey of any customer. So what we do, we have made our website well equipped with the analytics and the insight mining tool, along with the entire marketing suite. So what we try to do is that when someone comes to the site, we try to see what people are really doing that, and we use that insight. And then we use various tools to garner the data of the customer behavior in the website. It can be analytics tool, or it can be other tools like, there are multiple tools available. So we use combination of tools to gather data on customer behavior, and so that we can tweak our communication towards it. So the data which is generated help us to identify the customer behavior, the pattern, the trends, the relationship. Again, what you are talking about, like, see, if you look at today, the digital advantage is competitive advantage. So we have got a set of data about the customer if he has already become my customer. But if he has not become my customer, is not yet my customer, so the data generated and his digital footprints and whatever he does on a behavioral pattern, understand the trend and relationships, and where he is coming and consuming really helps us to modify our offering and show him the right kind of offering for him. For example, if someone has come from a money control site, we understand he's a guy which has more investment as a preference. So probably I'll take him my investment page and education page, or I'll show in a click to invest as a product offering. So let's say if someone is going to a health page, or looking at, studying about cancer as in some a subject, probably there I can put my advertisement of a cancer care and take him to the page. Yeah, I think Steve is asking, like, in the chat window, is HTC use Adobe Marketing Cloud to capture the pattern of the digital asset? Yes, that is correct. We use Adobe Marketing Cloud. Then based on the insight, we identify the tools to tweak our offering, our communication for our consumers, and personalizing and showcasing the relevant information. So as I said, if somebody is coming on money control, so we ensure that he's actually seeing the right kind of communication. So similarly, if there's a tax planning session, like, let's say, like, we know around December, January, a lot of people look for the information how they can save taxes, and what are the kind of opportunities available. So on that basis, we show our product or offering, saying that how it is possible for him to save the maximum amount of tax. So what we also work on is a pain point identified during the analysis, and work on providing better customer experience, which would eventually turn into sales. The complete process takes time, and it is highly dependent on the data. They may not provide the best result, which might not provide the best result based on business objective, but we have to constantly tweak it to ensure that how we can use the data in a meaningful manner, and get the best option for the customer. Go to the next slide. So this is the problem statement. Every company want to push more sales to achieve the target at the end of each quarter, but some product sells better, some product doesn't sell. So what we try to do is that to achieve the sales target of the organization, so to push the team to achieve sales, so we actually try to analyze each and every campaign to see which campaigns has performed better, and so that we can make informed choices. So the complete process takes time, and sometimes due to paucity of the time, most of the time what happens, people used to take a lot of calls on a generic field basis. So what we have really looked at is, like, what we have made it mandatory now, that we'll use analytics in all possible cases, so that all the decisions are based on information provided by the customer, and based on insights, rather than it is just a field basis, and take a decision which may not really work out in long term, or doesn't meet our desired objective. Go to the next slide. Yeah. So this looks slightly more busy slide, but this is what actually happens in a website, in our buying portal. So if you look at come to my buying portal, so we try to understand two different things. One is an insight part of it, because we believe in experience-driven commerce. So we look at what are the insights we are getting from the customer in terms of understanding customer data, his next set of actions. So when someone is on a website, by analytics, we check all the details. At the same time, we also try to inspire him, or show the relevancy in terms of the right content, reason to buy. So if you just look at the process, look at the website and buying portal. So it goes towards the right hand side based on the ease of buying. If he knows what to buy, he'll go, and we provide him the right processes, so that we can increase the number of converts. So how can we, if someone is sure, or he's already confident, or already knows what to buy, how can we make him buy our product with lesser number of steps? So that's one of our objectives. If someone doesn't know what to buy, come to my website, what kind of information, content, and reasons to buy I need to provide to him. So the right kind of RTBs and content will help him to really get converted. But what happens if it is not converted? So most of the times, if you look at particularly an insurance kind of product, only 1 or 2% go through, and rest of the people like drop out at different point of time. So it's a huge concern for us. So what we do two project approach. Obviously, the like any other businesses, if some drop out, some people will not come back. They will go to a competition site. But if some people always remain undecided, probably they will postpone the decision to take it on a later part of the time. So what we try to do, we try to how can we value addition? I can do value addition by the proper retargeting. So so we look at the customer, the dropout, the places where exactly the what stage he has dropped out. So we can do a callback depending on the part of the buying journey, or it can be we can actually do right kind of content for him to really come back to the thing. See, let's say he has gone to let's say about a child plan, he has gone there and he read something had come out. So what are the things I need to really convince him to make him to come and buy the product again, so that there the content and the activities play a very important role, and whatever he's doing in the net, I can do a retargeting to ensure that his right kind of content he can see, and he can so it is important for us to understand each and every customer, and how can we actually do a relevant experience driven opportunity to the customer, so that he gets the right information about the brand and he comes back. So if you look at the left hand side, like after the retargeting, then we look at so through search display advertising and through customized content, we bring him back, and again through using analytics, and we try to bring him back to the websites to complete the journey. So so we try to understand what individual want, what the patterns, how can we deliver the right experience to the customer at the right point of time. So overall, it helps us to increase conversion and reduce the dropout percentage. Go to the next slide. Yeah, so this is what we call as a cognitive commerce, which helps us to get the entire insight about the customers. So we try to observe the customer, interpret what he's talking about, evaluate, and then decide. So we look at the patterns. We look so build our communication to deliver the experience at the right time at the right place. So we ensure we assist them to various touch points through the charts. See what happens in our instance. As I said, only 2% people go through only direct purchase stage. 98% drop out. So we try to bring them back with the chat, social media, and try to provide relevant content in terms of using all the media when they're using any other media vehicle, or like reading, let's say maybe equals to Economic Times and reading some relevant content. Our link or my article will come below that, so that he gets that to read that, and he can then come back to my site. So we look at the we target our ads based on the search history of the customer, and currently, if you look at most of the people access the net through mobile. I think more than 80% people today access the net through mobile. So we ensure that how we can actually give the relevant content and relevant activities in mobile, and how we'll make our website mobile friendly, so that he can complete the buying journey in the mobile. So it is important to understand the customer behavior, at the same time provide opportunity for customer to complete the process, and making your business, making your site more, or web pages which are mobile first. Go to the next slide. So what we try to do is, based on customer data, we try to service through different, Jesse mentioned about omni-channel experience, various touch point, be it social media, mobile app. So we try to link everything. So wherever he's coming, he's actually can get the similar experience, and we can choose the correct mode of communication by offering tailor-made solution through the preferred mode. And we try to enhance our system, so that customer experience can be given through virtual agent, through which is like online chat. Because today, when we look at an channel experience, the customer can walk into a branch, he can do a call center, he can call up call center, he can call to the chat. But online, we try to take it through the chat, because in a chat, the problem of the voice, the language, all these things can be taken care of, and you can provide the right kind of information at a much faster pace. And we also look at a contextual targeting to reach our audience at the right time at the right place. So what we believe as cognitive commerce is like how we can do a scalable scalable business and apply the reason with the purpose and and through online through during entire online journey how we'll treat a person entirely like a human so that it looks like a very natural communication and he basically gets what he looked for and we are actually deliver the promise be it through omni-channel visibility or omni-channel fulfillment. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think we'll take questions after the next slot. Would you be able to stay with us, Sanjay?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to introduce Kiran Ajbani, who heads the Enterprise and Digital Marketing Solutions at IBM. So, Kiran, if you'd like to get started, I'll just get your deck here.
Sure. I hope you guys can hear me fine. All right. So I think what I wanted to start off even before we go to the first slide is, uh, we talked a little bit when Sanjay spoke about personalization and how to increase conversion. And we know commerce is all about, getting more business, right? But essentially, what is cognitive commerce? I wanted to kind of focus a little bit on what is cognitive and why is it important for us meaning us as a consumer, and why it makes a difference. So what I really wanted, see, ultimately what happens is only things that are more make my life easier as a consumer are the ones that we choose to stay with, right? Today we use cell phones or we use tablets over PCs or desktops only because life is convenient. It's easier for us to do the regular things that we do, right? And that's what cognitive is also all about, right? So, Jesse, if we can just move to slide number one, right? When we really look at cognitive systems, right? What are cognitive systems supposed to do for an individual, right? Or for a brand? Essentially, cognitive systems need to do these three core things which are important. First, they need to understand the world through sensing and interaction. And we'll go through details of each one of these, right? Second is they need to reason, and this is probably one of the most important, right? They need to be able to build hypotheses and arguments themselves. And third is they need to learn from experts and through data to essentially make the customer experience better, right? So these are the three core things. Now, if we just move on to the next slide, essentially we look at understand first, right? Now, if you really look at understand, right, cognitive systems, while it may sound as a new jargon, it's nothing new. If you look at what this screen shows, right, the generation one of cognitive systems was when you started using Google, right? You would type something in, some keywords in, and Google would respond back, essentially. Now that entire thing was all keyword based, and while that's generation one of cognitive, it's not, it actually improvised over a period of time. So as Google matured, you started seeing the auto complete options that came in and that enabled you to, use the wisdom of the masses, if you will, to select and auto suggest, what your statements would be. But if you see on the right hand side, right, this is just a basic Google search I was doing. I was trying to search for never put a aluminum foil inside a microwave or things like that. But the kind of suggestions Google came up with sometimes are really funny. Things like never put a blanket over an owl. I mean, who would search for that, right? So it always doesn't work. It essentially is based on a lot of algorithms and data, but it's not there up to the mark yet, right? So this is sort of generation one of cognitive. Now, if you move on, right, if you go to the next slide, Jesse, that's this is evolved further. So this is generation two, and most of you who are basically iPhone lovers or people who have iPhone devices or rather Apple devices have seen this, right? Siri. Um, so what it does is essentially it enables you to have a conversation with it, right? And it can understand some basic language structures. Now it's extremely important because it's a transformational step over here, right? It's able to have a conversation with you. It's able to understand what you're saying, fetch the data, and give it back to you. Now look at the examples on the right hand side, right? It can get pretty smart. It can be sarcastic. It can say, "Oh, I noticed your nails are a little sharp," right? So this is the second generation where we see that things have advanced, where at least information is easily available and deciphered by systems, and then the result comes back. Well, what's generation three? And generation three is where we are at, right? And that's the next slide, Jesse. So basically, I don't know how many of you have seen Echo, right? This is a device by Amazon. Now, the difference between the previous and this one is really, really fundamental. The one before, Siri, was only able to search information, get some information. If it understood it, it would fetch that information. Otherwise, it would ask you to repeat itself. What it would also do is, if it didn't understand, it would take the keywords, again go back to the web, which is generation one, and give you some results back from the web, right? Not, well, I wouldn't say up to the mark, right? But what Echo does, right, is completely different. So if you the capabilities, Echo is like talking to a human being. So imagine yourself telling a friend, why don't you order a pizza, a margarita for me today, right? It has to be large, and you give them the instructions, and the friend actually goes and does it. Similarly, if you want to ask Echo today, order you an Uber, and that will take you to the airport, or maybe give you an on-demand movie, or maybe read you a book, right? So you can tell Echo that why don't you read me this book from page 55, and it'll start doing that. It's a fundamental transformation on how life is becoming convenient for the consumer. And what it also really means is the entire commerce structure has to change around, right? So tomorrow you need to be able to adapt your brand to just like Echo does on these, at least specific to the business that you have, and be able to respond to the customer in such a way that is relevant, personalized, and it makes sense for the customer, right? And that's the world of understand. Now we'll go to learn, right? So the three fundamental was understand, reason, and learn. So learn is also not new. If you really look at it, generation one of learn was when we started to add things to our dictionary, for example, right? And this is both on your cell phones. It could be on the right hand side if you see it's on people who are coding, right? Things that the system knows that you would use regularly, and hence you need to add to the dictionary, or you need to learn from what I'm telling you. So this is learning from experts, right? If you move to the next slide, Jesse, we'll also talk about learning through data, right? The next slide, please. Right. So if you really look at this slide, on the left hand side is some, no, the one before this, please. Yeah, so this is some data. On the left hand side, this data is essentially talking to you about, how a two-dimensional representation of, the e-commerce sales over a period of time, right? 2014 to 19. Now, this was a way in which systems could understand data, could interpret that data, and then also be able to present that data to human beings for us to be able to visualize and understand what it means. But again, this is generation two of learning, but it has its own limitations, because what happens is if you just follow along with me, for example, in the next chart in the center, it shows the same data divided by country, right? This is the next level of probably deciphering this data. But if I, as a business owner, wanted it to understand, if there was a trend, let's say, or a pattern of sales by a product category, and by gender, and by weather conditions, right? Things like that. So imagine that chart, how large that would be, and you wouldn't even be able to visualize it, because the human mind can only visualize in 2 or 3 dimensions. We essentially cannot really decipher more than 3 or 4 dimensions and try and understand and identify patterns, right? And that's where advanced analytics and predictive analytics come in, right? and that's the screen on the right, where you really don't need to visualize the data. What you need is systems to understand that data, be able to use that data to create segments or micro segments of customers, and be able to then use that information in my interactions with regular customers to try and maximize the sale, right? And that's what we started doing in generation 2 with advanced analytics and predictive analytics. Some really, really sophisticated stuff over here, right? Now, if you go to the next slide, essentially, this is the third and the most important part of, a cognitive system, a system that is able to reason and bring hypothesis. As I showed you in the last slide, right, human beings can have certain limitations in terms of our ability to visualize things. There's only limited amount of information that can be deciphered, and that's why you need machines. But again, machines are not perfect. You look at the two examples on the left side of screenshots, right? They essentially tell you where each can go wrong. Where machines can actually go wrong by not understanding the context in which the data or the arguments are being presented. So what that leads us to do is we understand that there is a gap both from a human perspective and a machine perspective, right? And that leads me to the next slide, Jesse, which basically is talking about an ecosystem which uses. Should we just move ahead, Jesse? This is an ecosystem where that I showed you and bring in cognitive systems together to try and maximize the moment that you engage with your customers, right? It is presenting the right offer at the right time to the right customer experience, right? And here, essentially, if you really look at it, all of the cognitive systems are supposed to really do what are the cognitive systems supposed to do? They're supposed to make you understand or know more about your customers at every stage and every step of the interaction. They're able to essentially identify patterns and then be able to engage more with those customers. An example was given by Sanjay, right? So Sanjay gave an example where a certain behavior on the website leads to offer given back to the customer either in real time, either through remarketing, or through probably another channel like call center when somebody calls back. So that's a way in which you know something about the customer, and based on the context, you're taking an action. So cognitive systems are supposed to automate this entire process so that you're able to know more about the customers, engage more with them, and obviously delight them with the customer experiences, right? Jesse, if you move on to the next slide, I'll give you an example of this, right? So, next slide, please. Hello. Hello. Uh, yeah, the one before this. So while Sanjay talked about a journey on the website, what I'm going to talk to you about is a journey and how cognitive systems can play a part, which a typical user or a typical customer would take across the life cycle of buying a product, right? Now, this could be any product. It could be a piece of clothing. It could be a cell phone, the example that I've already given here. Or it could be a product, which is just as buying a book online or things like that, right? Or it could be buying a large piece of jewelry. But essentially what we're showing here is if you see the journey spans across multiple touch points, both digital and offline. And it requires a lot of data to be collected across this entire life cycle of the customers, as well as also the ability to use that data and then be able to give the relevant offer back to the customer or being able to give the relevant experience. This journey really is starting off on the web, right? Just like Sanjay said, right? We're starting to monitor a customer behavior as they start browsing an iPhone on the web. We start using that information immediately in real time to be able to understand what would be customers who are similar to this customer. How do they really respond or interact to? What would be the best offers to give them in real time? That would be step number two. If the customers actually dropped out, we try to remarket on a third party site like Facebook or maybe some other site like Times of India or things like that. Use that information whether the session is abandoned or not. If we recognize the customer, to try and reach them out via a call center or maybe a digital channel like email. Be able to carry that conversation off from offline channel like call center back online, and be able to continue this entire journey over a period of either in store if the product is in store, or even on social media and things like that. Now at every step of this journey, what you'll realize is there is an action being exhibited by the customer or by the brand, and all of these actions are really uh, need to be more intelligent, and that's what cognitive systems let you do, right? They essentially analyze loads of data that are being collected with every action that every customer is taking, and use that information to give the right offer at the relevant time to these customers. And this essentially is the power that a cognitive system brings forward, right? So let me give you a more detailed example of just one instance of this. If you move on to the next slide, Jesse. Okay, this is something that's IBM's Watson Engagement Advisor, right? Now, it's an extremely interesting product, just like what you saw on Amazon Echo. This is more on a brand trying to improvise their self-service with their customers, right? So what it enables you to do is obviously speak in natural language. You can ask a question and get an answer, and this conversation is a real conversation, right? So you can actually go ahead and tell it that, I am 30 years old. I need to plan my next 5 years. I plan to save up maybe 80 lakhs or 1 crore. I have this income today, and I want you to suggest based on my risk profile, or suggest me an investment plan, right? This kind of a complex conversation can happen with the Watson advisor, and the Watson will basically interpret what you do. It may ask you for more information and use the information from the entire database to bring up a customized portfolio just for you to be able to maximize or to reach your goals, right? And here we are seeing an interplay of a lot of things, right? We're seeing an interplay of data, of human interaction, natural language processing, and being able to use the expertise or the domain expertise of an organization's data to come back with recommendations that can be made, right? So this is essentially how we see the world evolving going forward across every step of the journey that you saw in the last slide, right? And go to the next slide, Jesse. I think I just wanted to conclude by saying that these kind of cognitive experiences are the ones that are redefining the commerce, and we as brands and owners of both technology and business have to work together to be able to maximize the moments of wow for customers using these cognitive technologies. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. So we can now take any questions on chat, or you can use the mic. You can unmute yourselves. Great. So do we have any questions? Okay, so the question is, what's the future of cognitive commerce in marketing? Sanjay, Kiran, who would like to try that one?
As I said before, when you talk about, like, and I think Kiran explained it very well. So when you talk about cognitive, it is about, see, what we mean by commerce is when we try to sell to someone and increase our business. So what we mean by what is the future means, like, the future is always about the customer. See how the customer is moving, how can I give a better, more personalized offer to the customer. So understanding the insight of the, and at the same time, how can we actually inspire the customer and give more relevant content. Say for example, one side it helps us to understand customer, its data, the next action point, tracking it, retargeting, showing the right kind of content. At the same point of time, it also provides the reason to buy in the nature what he'll understand, be it through omni-channel visibility or through fulfillment. So the future, if you ask me, future of cognitive commerce, if you look at entire e-commerce of what we're trying to do, online commerce, will become cognitive commerce 100%. The cognitive commerce is no difference. It's about using the tools, using the insights to make it much more relevant for the customer and more personalized for the customer. Okay, the next question from Sanchit. What tools you do have to deploy for cognitive tools for digital channels? Is it within each of the small business or early stage startup? So the tools, if you look at the tools you need to have, you have to have analytics tool to understand the customer behavior, or you can look at tools like Omnichannel kind of thing, so which you need to really help you to understand. But the second part is, or there are free tools which are available in the net if you're a small GA is like also anyway the GA has two version. One is the basic version is anyway free, so you can utilize that to understand. You can do cookie based targeting. But what you also understand, what you need to understand is whether if you're going to look at social media, be it Facebook or Twitter, they provide you enough information about the customer. If you look at Twitter in 140 characters, they provide around 70 fields about the customer, his preferences, location. There are multiple ways you can actually target that customer better. If you just track the social media data and get the data from Facebook and Twitter and any other social media platform.
Kiran, I see a number of questions which you might also want to address. One was how CRM and loyalty will work with cognitive commerce.
Right. So essentially, if you really look at it, right, CRM and loyalty are systems that are giving you information of the customer only. So they are data sources that a cognitive engine can use to understand the customer better. I'll give you an example, probably the same example that I was using, right? So Sanjay talked about web analytics data that maybe a Google Analytics or an Omnichannel or whoever is collecting for you, right? This is a piece of information that we can use in real time. Now, this piece of information also needs to be combined by information which you already have in your loyalty or CRM systems if you really want the experience to the customer to be most relevant, right? So, example will be that I know a customer just logged on to my website, and this is, let's say, for Snapdeal, right? And they logged on to my website, and I have a banner on the website. I need to present something. All I know that they searched for cell phones, right? Now, cell phones is pretty generic as such. So how do I make this relevant? If I know that this customer is someone I've tracked earlier, and I know that this customer has bought, an Apple iPhone 7 earlier, then I might want to display a banner of, iPhone 6 earlier. So then I might want to display a banner of iPhone 7. Now this is taking your CRM or your information that you have about customers or loyalty information, combining it with the information that's coming in real time and giving a personalized offer back, right? And that's how I think this has to exist as an ecosystem.
Great. Sanjay, there's a question how you can blend physical and online world.
If you look at, you see, both will coexist because overnight, it is not that entire all physical customer will move to online or you can only have only online communication. So what we need to really see that, how can we give a omni-channels experience when customer is going to physical world. See, today any customer can come to my website, go walk up to any branch, meet any agent, then come to my call center. So what is important for us to understand how we'll track the same customer and what information is got. So the earlier system, if you look at like when someone walking into the branch, where the branch staff used to go to the CRM system, update the details. So the entire CRM system is accessed. So the first part is linking your CRM system. First part is you have to have a CRM, then linking your CRM and backend to the web on all the possible channels, so that wherever the customer comes, the system automatically recognizes the customer, the previous history of the customer, and provide the right kind of offers. So to make the other way also available, let's say I want him to, let's say, go to in a particular journey path, which is, let's say I want to convert everyone to online journey path. I can take him through a QR code kind of exercise. Let's say he come to the branch, he, it's like, goes to the QR code and then go to my website and do all the transactions. That's also possible. Third approach is like when I can actually utilize that customer, once he, and I know that CRM interaction is X, but I don't want him to come to my physical world again. So I can send him emailer or actually proactively send him chat windows or give him information so that he can then move in the online journey. So if you look at what we try to do, I don't know about other company, what we try to do, we have a specific journey map, customer journey map in our mind. We want to be a digital insurer. We want everyone to come digitally and interact with us digitally rather than coming to the branches or the call center. So we do regular updation of the data and ensure once he comes to my any of my physical window, we try to move him to online journey path, be it in a chat way or a call center way, and we recommend the product and offering based on the life stages and proactively, so that he doesn't have to has the need to come back. See, once is if someone is coming to a website, how or coming to your branch, how you need to address it. Second is what will make that person to continue the journey in web. For example, we just launched our mobile app, but the app he can buy, he can purchase, he can actually pay his premium, he can actually even keep all his insurance policies, be it from other competition policies, and proactively will give him reminders. So we are trying more of a journey so that to understand the customer better and personal for him the way he wants, so that he can continue in an online journey. So our omni-channel experience become much more seamless.
Great. I think we'll take the last question from for Kiran, which is how soon can one start seeing results from digital technology adoption?
So I think the results can be almost, and I'm saying that with a large amount of certainty, it could be almost immediate, right? As soon as you start seeing, personalization, more personalization come into any of your communications, whether it is remarketing, whether it is the ability to, send out personalized emails or whatever you may say, essentially every piece would result. So you could directly see if you make the communication more personalized on email, you'll see larger click rates or open rates. So depends on your digital adoption, but I would say the results are immediate. As soon as you start being more personal, more contextual to your customer, you see the results.
Great. Okay, so thank you all so much for joining us on this webinar. We'll be putting up the recording and also the decks will be made available to you on SlideShare and we'll send the links to you. So thanks once again for joining us. And of course, any questions for any of the presenters, you can share them with us and we'll get the answers to you. Thank you.